Hello and welcome to Some Grub with Mark Russell. So today we're going to be doing pizzas, but we're going to be doing pizzas in two different ways to see which is better really. We've got self-raising flour here. I was going to use normal bread flour. Turns out in the stores in South Africa we could only get self-raising, and it was even hard to come by self-raising flour. So I've got all brand wheat flour. What I've wanted to just test out is there's baking soda and extra salt in self-raising flour, so that's why you can bake with it instantly. It will instantly rise. So I'm going to do a batch of pizzas now for this evening, and then I'm going to do the other half of the batch. I'm going to add yeast to it and then cook pizza again tomorrow night and see which is better. So before we get onto the pizza bases themselves, we're going to be making Regina Pizza. This has sliced mushrooms, ham, and cheese on it, preferably mozzarella, and then a tomato base, pretty traditional Italian tomato base underneath. The history of the Regina Pizza dates back to 1926 from the restaurant Regina Pizzeria in Boston. Regina is Italian for queen. Moving on to the tomato sauce, I'm adding a can of tomatoes, a tablespoon of garlic, a pinch of salt and pepper, then a tablespoon roughly of tomato paste. I'm going to mix and blend this up and keep it in the fridge for later. Now I'm going to be adding 1 kilogram of flour into a large bowl, followed by a tablespoon of salt, and then adding 500 ml of water. Now I'm going to mix this up with a spoon to begin with, but once I can grasp it with my hands, I will be getting my hands into it. The general motion is using the palm of your hand, push it down and outwards, and then back towards you. Repeat this process. It is quite a workout. At this stage I'm finding that my dough is quite dry, so what I'm going to do is add just a splash of water, so about a teaspoon of water, back into the mix and keep working at it. From beginning to end, this should take about 10 minutes, from mixing the ingredients to kneading the dough. I'm going to be kneading the dough until it gets consistent and elastic. And then once this is the case, I'm going to cut it in half into equal portions. I will set aside the first portion for tonight's dinner for the self-raising agents to act on the flour. And the second portion I've added in yeast now, 15 grams of fresh yeast. And I'm going to knead the dough for another 5 minutes before setting it aside under cling wrap for 24 hours. Then it's back to portion 1, which is tonight's pizza base portion. I'm going to knead it for another 5 minutes. Once the 5 minutes are up, it should look pretty much how it is right now, and I will break it into 2 equal portions and start making pizza bases out of them. As you've probably noticed, it makes 4 pizza bases per kilogram of flour. I'm starting with the first one here, and you start making the edge of the pizza first. You want to almost have a bit of a lip so that toppings in the cheese, the melted cheese, doesn't start oozing off the side. Then from the middle you're going to start stretching it out as evenly as possible and put it onto a baking tray. I'm going to start then with the tomato sauce, ham, and then sprinkle cheese and mushrooms and maybe a bit of Italian herbs, and put it into the oven for 6 minutes at 250 degrees Celsius or 482 degrees Fahrenheit, and then it should be ready to eat. So while we're on this split screen, the bottom pizza is the first night's pizza, the top pizza is the second night's pizza, and you can see a visible difference. The bottom pizza is a lot thicker, it was a lot harder to get into a thin base, and it's also a lot heavier and less smooth. You can see in the texture it's a lot less smooth, whereas the second night's pizza I managed to get a lot flatter, a lot thinner in the pizza base, and it looks nicer, and it was a lot easier to work with, if I'm honest. So if you are willing to put up with 24-hour waiting time, I'd rather use flour with yeast so we can allow that reaction to happen and have a more enjoyable pizza.